The Galaxy A54 has Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back, which can be considered an improvement over the plastic cover of its predecessor. But the latter had a matte cover, while the new one has a glossy one. As a result, the smartphone looks worse. It has a plastic frame in the center, which is immediately noticeable to the touch, and Galaxy A54 is almost 3 millimeters wider than last year's model, which does not add convenience in its use. The Galaxy A54's screen is completely flat. Some people will be happy about it, but the frames are obscenely large for the middle class. They are even wider than the Galaxy A53, and the bottom one is noticeably more massive than the others. The optical fingerprint scanner is built into the display, but it's not too fast, although it's accurate and it's located a bit low, which makes it uncomfortable to press it. Frames aside, the Galaxy A54 sports a quality 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 2340 by 1080 pixels. The manufacturer claims a peak brightness of 1000 nits, and this is close to the truth. Tests show about 980 nits in automatic adjustment mode. With manual comes out a maximum of 460, and the minimum value is 1.6 nits. There should be no problems with readability in most conditions. Unlike its predecessor, the Galaxy A54 received a new 50 megapixels main camera with optical stabilization. The ultra-wide angle and macro cameras remain unchanged, but the separate depth sensor has been abandoned. Interestingly, for some reason, the preliminary image during shooting has low resolution and graininess, which was not observed on the Galaxy A53. At the same time, the final photo is of normal quality. In good light, the pictures are contrasty, with a wide dynamic range, excellent detail, and accurate white balance. The colors are saturated in the peculiar Samsung manner, although not as much as on the previous model. When there is a lack of light, the photo quality from the main camera remains at a high level, with a wide dynamic range, excellent detail, and mostly accurate white balance. At the same time, the difference between automatic and forced night mode is barely noticeable. Moving subjects should not be shot at night as they appear blurred. Despite the performance gain in benchmarks, in practice, everything is not so rosy. While using the smartphone, you can notice slowdowns, especially during unlocking. With games, the situation is not better. In PUBG Mobile, you can count on a maximum of 30 FPS with HD graphics. Diablo Immortal demonstrates a slightly better frame rate, but at low settings. And in Genshin Impact, even at the lowest settings, there are lags. The battery capacity has not changed in comparison with its predecessor and is 5000 mAh. In the case, you can count on 6 to 7 hours of active screen, or about a day and a half of use without heavy load. After a full charge, there is about 30 to 35% left by the end of the day. At the same time, it is noted that the use of always-on display noticeably reduces the operating time. The smartphone supports not the fastest 25-watt charging. For half an hour, it replenishes about 50%, and for 50 minutes, about 80%. In an hour, you can get 90%, and the remaining percent will be reached in about 25 minutes. The new Samsung turned out to be extremely ambiguous. In some places, it is even worse than its predecessor. It is more expensive than comparable smartphones, and you also need to buy a charger for it. As a result, we have a device for fans of the brand who love the proprietary One UI and want to get along software support.